Welcome to St Mary's. This is for Sunday the 20th of March, and it's strange really how sometimes the Gospel speaks into a particular situation. We all know what's happening in the Ukraine, and our Gospel reading begins with people telling Jesus about some Galileans, and he was a Galilean of course, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices, some kind of cruel massacre of some kind. And Jesus himself goes on to mention some people on whom a tower fell, 18 people who were killed when a tower in a place called Siloam fell. Well, we've had quite a lot of news, haven't we, about an autocratic leader killing innocent people, and we've seen more than enough of innocent bloodshed and towers falling. Jesus is at pains to point out that those people who died in those terrible ways weren't worse sinners than anybody else, than any of the people listening to him. Sometimes bad things happen to good people because, rather crudely to put it, bad people make them happen, because we have this thing which is both wonderful and terrible called free will. Jesus himself, of course, will be another Galilean who will be butchered by Pilate. But Jesus then goes on to tell a little parable about a fig tree planted, and it hasn't grown any figs. And so the owner of the vineyard comes to the gardener and says, look, cut this tree down because it's not going to grow any figs, it's not going to be fruitful. And the gardener replies, sir, let me give it one more year until I dig around it and put manure around it. If it bears fruit next year, well and good, but if it doesn't, then yes, then you can cut it down. The usual interpretation of this little parable ties in with what Jesus says about people who are sinful needing to repent, to change, in the first part of the Gospel reading from Luke chapter 13 verses 1 to 9. And therefore the owner of the vineyard is thought to be God, telling the people of Israel, or telling church members too, that they need to change and be fruitful, otherwise in the end they will come to judgment. But the gardener could also be God too. He provides the manure. Now, we may not think that having ordure thrown on us is a very nice idea, but we all know what wonders manure can do to enable plants to grow and flourish and thrive. We too need to turn to God, to be resourced and to change, to bear fruit in our lives. Fruits of prayer, so we continue to pray for this broken world. Fruits of generosity that we give to all the various campaigns for people in the Ukraine, not just for them, but the people who are forgotten because their stories have gone off the news, the people in Afghanistan, as we're supporting in this church this Lent, the people of Yemen and others, that we can change and bear fruit in our lives. God is the gardener, and smelly stuff though it is, manure is very good stuff indeed.